exactly what contraceptives are and what birth control is. I want to talk a little bit about the history and why there is so much distrust in this industry in particular. And because I know you're going to ask about that, Benny, you're going to bring that up, and I think it's valid. And I do want to answer some questions, some myths that I think people just don't really understand how it works, especially men. I think the burden of birth control has really fallen on women. And so men are not aware of the side effects or how difficult it can be. So I really just want to talk a little bit more about that this morning.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, we all know how pregnancy works, right? How you get pregnant. You don't know how pregnancy works, Benny.
No.
Okay, so we know that, the sperm has to fertilize the egg, right? So the sperm has to be able to get to the egg, fertilize the egg, and the egg goes down into the womb where, it implants.
Is that what happens?
That's how the babies grow, right?
Oh, yeah?
Yep. And so the birth control, the contraceptives, basically what they do is they stop some point of that process. So whether it's preventing the sperm from getting to the egg or preventing the egg from even being released, for you to even have eggs, or preventing the eggs from making it down into the womb and implanting and being there in the uterus, right? So what most people are familiar with, of course, is condoms. That's going to be the most popular mode or method of contraceptives. And what I thought was really interesting when I was doing my research is kind of the history of how that stuff has changed. So at one point, as far back as 1873, there was an act from government, the Comstock Act, that prohibited ads, any information, any distribution of condoms and birth control.
Wow.
In 1873.
It was an act of Congress.
That's a long time ago. You have to think about that. That's a very long time. And people have been using all kinds of things that they thought worked and, that they believed in. And
I'm scared of that.
All kinds of crazy things. But, they used what they had to do what they wanted to do to protect themselves from unwanted pregnancies.
Right.
The women before marriage didn't want to get pregnant, and also during marriage didn't want to just keep having children.
But see, that's when they came with the POG.
What's that?
The pull-out game. That's when people, they used to work after that. Like when contraceptives were in their early stages, guys would practice with their hands up and being able to push out fast.
Okay, listen.
It's pull-out game 101.
I hope you guys can hear him. But I think that is one of the methods, right?
Yeah,
It is one of the methods that people use. It's just not that effective,
right?
And so that's why typically, if you're trying to be as safe as possible, you want to use more than one method. So you want to use condoms and the pill, or the pull-out game and the condom. And you want to use more than one method to make sure you get the most efficiency that's possible. I mean, you guys are going to be difficult about this today.
Oh my goodness.
We
ain't doing anything.
But anyways, so the way that condoms work, obviously, they stop the sperm from getting to the egg, right? And so there are all kinds of things that you can use that do the same thing. You can use a cervical cap, you can use a diaphragm, which are things that go into the vagina to protect, they're barrier methods.
Women's contraceptive.
Yes, but did you know that there's also a female condom?
Yeah, I've seen them.
I've heard of it, but I didn't think it was really exist. I thought it was a myth.
They about the size of the opening of a cup, though. So they kind of they're huge.
Oh my God, they're not huge.
They're kind of depressing if you see them.
Stop! They're not huge. Oh my gosh.
You see this V949 cup? Yeah.
Hello.
That's how it look.
That is depressing.
You be like, I'm all right, baby. Don't even worry about it. Let's just hold hands.
The way that the female condom works is that there are two flexible rings, and one goes inside of the vagina, one stays on the outside, and so it acts in the same way as the male condom in terms of just it's like a lining that prevents the fluids from passing from one person to the next. But the female condom, however, does not protect you against STDs in the same way that that condoms help to do that. So that's one thing to be aware of.
They just stop the children.
Correct.
No, okay.
Correct. That's the purpose and focus. Yes, Bartholomew, I see you have a question.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask this question because I know it's a lot of women, they're on the pill or some type of birth control. How healthy is that far as long term with taking something that's foreign in your body for 15, 20 years?
Now,
What's the long-term effect?
That's a really great question. I think a lot of men don't even understand what the side effects are for taking the pill. And basically, typically how the pill works is that it has two hormones, estrogen and progestin. And those hormones either stop the egg from releasing so you don't ovulate, right? So, or they make the lining of the uterus thin so that even if there was an egg that was fertilized and it came down into your womb, it would pass out, right? Because it doesn't have enough to stick to, basically.
Yeah.
And so, with any hormones that are going into your body, you have to understand what hormones already control in your body. Does that make sense? And so, with your menstrual cycle, the symptoms that come with that, the cramping or the heavy bleeding, the PMS, the emotions, the weight, all of those things that are associated with that are going to be affected by you putting these hormones into your body, right? Now, some people, especially for younger girls, they can start them on the pill to help regulate those things because it's going to be the same dosage every day, and so it helps to control those symptoms. I know that was for me. I started when I was like 18 because my family wanted to help me. It was difficult. The situation for me, my menstrual cycle was really difficult, and they wanted to regulate that so you can control when it's gonna happen and how difficult it's gonna be. It just helps you control it better and facilitate that. But to your question, I think we don't necessarily know. I don't think all the research is in on how healthy or unhealthy it is in terms of long term. Most women that get off of the pill are able to conceive and they don't have any issues. But I think it's more so the difficulties that they experience while using it, because it's going to change up your hormone balance in your body. And some people, they get a lot of weight gain, they get cramps, their skin breaks out. Usually it helps in the other direction, but some women react to it differently. Yes, Bartholomew. Question number 2.
Yes, ma'am. Now, the reason why I was asking that is because I've seen a lot of women that have been on birth control over the years, and now rumor is that that's why some of these women with these pot bellies and stuff like that, I ain't trying to be funny for real, not this time, but a lot of times you see a lot of those women that are on birth control is like it's a pattern. That's the reason why I was asking what's the...
Yeah, that's what I said. A lot of women do get weight gain.
Specifically in the stomach. No, I'm serious. You done seen them before. We call them birth control stomachs. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of them, that's not for all cases.
Right.
But I think when you putting something foreign in your body like that, it's got to be a consequence.
Yeah, I do think that, like for me personally, and this is just my personal belief, I'm not a doctor. I don't like the idea of things that stop your cycle entirely, because I think that's a natural flow of your body, and your body is built to have that happen and to have that renewal and that change and that shedding. So I personally am not a fan of things that just stop it entirely, right? Because there are different methods like the IUD, which actually goes into your body and stays there for years at a time, where some people just don't have, any cycles. And that to me is a little bit more scary because, like you said, you're putting something foreign into your body. And I also think it's kind of scary to get like the shot or the implant, because once those hormones are in your body, like with the implant, it's slow releasing, right? So you can take it out and it's supposed to stop the effects. But for me, what scares